Alright, next step will be to make our enemy to actually move. And movement is quite easy, but we should also consider the fact that we want to make some chasing mechanics. So our enemy should be able to detect when our player is close enough. And if our player will be close enough, he should start basically chasing us. But for now, let's concentrate on the animation. And today's task will be to create some range, detecting range. And when our player will get to that range, our enemy should start playing running animation. And when we go outside of that range, our enemy should go back to the idle state. For that, we will go in the scripts folder. And let's create C# script. And let's call this enemy controller. And well, obviously we will assign this enemy controller to the actual enemy, which is our dragon in this case. So let our script compile. I will drag and drop my enemy controller there, and then we will continue working, and I will explain you how to do it. Well, actually, we will need to just calculate distance between enemy and our player, and then we can simply say simple logic to Unity that's check the distance between those two game objects, and if distance is less than our desired range or detecting range, start chasing our player or start playing our running animation. So let's drag and drop. Oh, I did 2 times, no worries. Let's double click to open in Visual Studio, and we will create few variables. One will be for the player reference, public game object, player. Let's call this one player. Also, we will need 2 floats, public floats. One will be for the detecting range, so let's call this one detecting range, and one will be for the speed, public float move speed. Also, we will need reference for the animator, which our enemy has, animator component. So we can say private animator. Let's call this one anim simply. Well, in the start, we should get reference to the animator, and we will use getComponent method. So we will say anim equals getComponent, and the component name is animator. There are also other ways how you can get reference to the game objects. For example, let me teach you other ways. For the player, let's not use getComponent. Instead, let's use tags. You already saw that we have tags. So for example, if we select player and if we open tags, Unity already has default tag for the player. So let's assign this player tag to the player. If you don't have this tag for some reason, what you can do, you can create tag. You can click add tag, click plus, right here player, and then assign player to the player game object. But anyway, we have assigned tag of player there, and now we can say player equals game object, but with a capital first letter, dot find object with tag, find object with tag, and in brackets and quotation marks we can say name of the tag. Spell it correctly because it's case sensitive, but anyway, this method will also work just fine. Alright, let's continue. As I said, we should calculate distance between our player and enemy. For that, we will also need to store that information into some variable, into some container. So in the update, let's create float. Let's call this one distance. And to calculate distance between two game objects, we can use vector3.distance method, which does exactly same data set, calculates basically distance between 2 points. And well, we want to calculate distance between our enemy, which is transform.position, and between our player, which is player.transform.position. Okay, we have distance. Also, what we can do, just to check if this distance is working correctly, we can say debug.log, and in brackets we can say distance, which means that we will see distance amounts in the console view in the Unity editor, which might be handy for now, just for the testing. And well, now we can say simple logic that if our distance is less than our desired detecting range, something should happen, right? Well, in this case, we should play animation, running animation. And to play running animation, we can say anim.setBool. We are telling setBool because if you remember, when we did an animation for the enemy, we created this parameter, which was Boolean. That's why we are telling setBool. Now in brackets and quotation marks, we should say name of that parameter, which is in range in my case, and type your parameter correctly in the brackets, otherwise it will not work. It's in range in my case, just like this, and we will say it to be true. And when if we select the transition, you know that we set our transitions so that when his range is will be true, our enemy will start running. So that's exactly what we are doing. And if we are not in the detecting range, so else, we can say anim.setBool. In brackets and quotation marks, we can say in range, comma, false. So that we will be in the idle state again. We can save this script. That's pretty much it. A simple way how we can basically play different animations and have some detecting range. So let's select the player. Well, actually, let's select the dragon. And we should say detecting range, I don't know, let's say 5 for now. Or let's make it 3. And move speed also. Well, it doesn't matter because our enemy doesn't is not able to move right now, but I'll make it 3. And now let's hit play. If you remember, as I said, we will see the amount of the distance in the console view. So right now our distance is 5, detecting range is 3, and our enemy is still. So let's go closer. And yeah, when we are in the range, as you see, we are in 2.8, our enemy start running. Well, he's playing running animation, he's not actually moving, but yeah, when we go outside of the range, he goes back to the idle state, which is very nice, and it also means that detection is working.